Alright, so this video is just a quick recap of what I saw on the DC Infinite Hour where they interviewed Todd McFarlane. Which, if you want to see the whole interview, I'll leave it down in the description. So first off, they talk about the superpowers and that apparently Todd was trying to make them look cooler, but since he knows that people really enjoy the more simplified versions of the toys, he kept them that way. But this time he just added new characters into it. But he did wanted to make them a little bit more cooler since he does more detailed figures with the DC Multiverse line. But like he said, he knew that people liked the simplified version of the superpowers, so he just kept it that way. Also, he addressed the too many Batman figures. He obviously said that he won't stop making Batman figures even if people tell him to stop making Batman figures, and that's because Batman sells. Even if you see your store have packed with Batman, um, he still will. He's still gonna make more Batman, more Superman, which I believe those two are the ones that have more figures compared to any other DC Multiverse figure. So yeah, it doesn't matter how much you tell McFarlane to stop making variants of it. That you see pegwarming Batman figures in your stores, he's still gonna make Batman. So it doesn't matter what you tell him. And this is based on the data he gets. He knows that Batman's selling very good, which is the reason Batman we see more Batman in our shelves. Um, and he also mentioned that Batman is the one that has more variants just due to DC Comics making different versions of Batman. And he has the freedom to make as many as whichever versions of Batman as he wants. Next up, he talked about obscure characters and why he doesn't make many of them. And obviously, he said that there, even if there's a small fan of it, um, he will still make them exclusives, just for them to sell a little bit better because they're not gonna make a lot of it. Since for him, there are obscure characters. I know for you guys, you might be telling me in the comments that there's a huge fan base for, like, for example, Owlman. Um, but I guess like data he gets is that Owlman is an obscure character. So what they're gonna do is gonna do a small quantity of it, sell it, make it exclusive, and they'll probably sell better if that they'll probably sell better that way than actually making a huge quantity of Owlman and put it in out, and not a lot of people will probably know about Owlman, or some people will probably not be interested in buying Owlman compared to a Batman figure. Alright, next he talked about female characters and if we're gonna see more female characters in the future. He doesn't really answer the question, but he does say that if there's an audience for it, he obviously is gonna make it. But that he also said that if people like more Batman than let's say Satana, then he's gonna play the safe route and do more Batman figures. Um, but he's saying that he's trying. He's just doing a small quantity of it. I believe my friend is playing it safe and just doing characters such as Batman and Superman that sell very well, and then he does like small characters that he thinks will probably not sell very well. Um, and this brings to the next one, and it's when figures sell out. He says when figures sell out, that means that people really love them, and he doesn't need any feedback from it. And that once he sees there's like figures selling out, he's planning on making more of those since those are doing really good. So basically, you're telling McFarlane that he did a great job without actually telling him. Um, so when the figures sell out, he knows he did a great job. So he's planning on doing more of that character or more of that like live action or comic book, whichever version the figure sells out. Next up, they talk about the DC Collectors line, and he basically confirms that in this DC Collectors line, he has more more budget for it since these figures are around $30. So these figures usually are better painted than the normal DC Multiverse figures. And yeah, he basically confirms it in this interview that since they're $30, he could add more accessories. He could do better paint for the figure. All right, next up that they talk about are guns. Um, and he has said that he has been fighting for WB or DC to let him put guns on the figures, and he just saying that he doesn't. Obviously, he doesn't want to put guns in each and every figure since some figures do require guns, such as Red Hood. And funny thing is that he actually mentioned a figure that got leaked, and that character is Sergeant Rock. He even said in a funny comment that I'm gonna make a sergeant. If I make a Sergeant Rock figure, obviously you have to put guns on it. I'm not gonna just have him with a knife and that's it. So yeah, he has talked to Warner Brothers or DC that he does wants to add guns to his figures, and he has said that if he labels the figures as a 17 and up, he has a higher chance of DC or WB letting him put guns on his figures than rather than a figure that is 8 and up years. Um, so yeah, hopefully it looks like we are getting more hope for them to put guns in their figures. Our partner might have to up the um, age on the figures, and so like I mentioned, he did say that he did mention a figure that we're supposed to get. I don't know if it's this year or next year. By Sergeant Rock, it's a figure that is coming, and it's a figure that will determine if any more DC figures are gonna start coming with guns or not. So I guess we have to wait and see if the guns are coming back to DC Multiverse. All right, next here we have our exclusives and how he does exclusives. Um, Obviously, there's some times where the source rejects the figure or vehicle that Mcfarlane makes. So what they do is just make them their own exclusive. But there are some times where he says that he gives the company a toy and then he keeps one and makes it exclusive. But he said that he tries not to do that, and because he wants to the company to have a good relationship with them. Our next up is platinums. Now he with this one he really avoids the question, and all he says is that you're not gonna please everybody. Some people said that they're happy that you're doing it. Other people saying that obviously they don't like the idea. So yeah, that's pretty much all he says. Next up, the thing that he talks about is the scale of the figures and how he got a bit of a black backlash to it since most people and previously the DC Multiverse were 6 inch, but also because most people collected 6 inch figures. Um, and he said that he didn't mean to, that he just wanted to do his own thing. And his figures were 7 inch. So what he wanted to do is implement the DC Multiverse figures into his figures, making them the same height, 7 inch. But yeah, he said he just wanted to do his own thing and that he wanted to be different to the previous DC Multiverse figures. All right, next we talk about the sculpting and painting on the figures. He says that with the live actions, the head sculpt could look like the actor, and he's proud of it. But when it comes to the paint, sometimes they mess up the paint, and it no longer looks like the actor. Uh, I think this happens to the Henry Cavill Superman from the Justice League. Uh, there's renders of the head sculpt, and people say that he does look like a Henry Cavill, but when it comes to the paint, it kind of ruined it. So yeah, he addresses that sometimes some live action figures will come out really good, and then sometimes they come out kind of bad or bad. And this is due to the people that are in charge of the painting and sculpting and all that. Like I said, the people in charge of sculpting could do an incredible job, but if the guys in charge of the paint mess up, then basically the sculpt is ruined. Um, and that apparently there's a machine, or I don't know if it's people or machine that does the painting real quick. And like he said, if someone coughs or breathes, the paint could look a little wobbly or horrible, and that just basically ruins the sculpt. and since they have to do it real quick, sometimes figures come out really bad. It's also because there's different people making the sculpts and the paint. So one group could do an amazing job with the paint and the sculpting, and then the other group could get the same figure that the first group got and do a horrible job on it. So basically, Mcfarlane says that if they redo the figure, the second group might not do as a great job as the second group. And the last thing they talk about, just really quick, was a version of Todd McFarlane's Superman. Since we already got a version of Batman and Wonder Woman, all we're missing is a version of Todd McFarlane's Superman. And he said that he's working on it, and that's pretty much it. I may or may not miss some stuff, so like I said, I encourage you guys to watch the interview, which I'll leave it down in the description. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.